is Robin, and I'm here with Media Junkyard to cover the Riese The Series. We wanted to introduce you guys all to this great web series that is going to be premiering on Sci-Fi Digital pretty soon here. So let me just start with you, Christine. Tell us a little bit about your character, Riese.
Well, I play Riese, who is... where do you start with Riese? She is on the run from a religious cult in the world of Elysia with her wolf by her side. And that's where I'm going to start, and that's where I'm going to end. It goes on and on.
So, Ryan, this is Ryan Cobble. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce everybody. This is Ryan Cobble, Christine Shaitlin, Kalina Kiff, Allison Mack, and Nicholas Humphreys. Okay. So, I'm very professional here. So, when does the Sci-Fi Digital start? When we start seeing episodes on that?
Very soon. It sounds like Sci-Fi is going to be making an announcement the next couple days, but very soon.
Okay, so how often will these episodes be released?
Sounds like they're doing 2 a week.
Okay. Cool. So the sect reminds me of kind of like the Catholic Church used to like influence kings and queens, you know, back in medieval times. No power, but like great influence. So can any of you tell me about the sect?
About the sect. I wouldn't say it's inspired by the Catholic Church. I think it's pretty much all religion, essentially. And they certainly do have their hands in a lot of the political power there, probably more so than the politicians would believe. So I think that their reach goes a lot further than your average religion. In fact, that's sort of one of the muddy areas of Elysia, and why her family's been killed is that there is no separation of church and state anymore. And so it's gotten quite ugly in Elysia. And Riese is actually an exiled princess, so they don't know she's alive until we begin this particular journey.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit about like Snow White, maybe, you know, more, you know, obviously more steampunky. Speaking of steampunk, can you possibly tell our viewers, like, who might not be familiar with steampunk, what that's all about?
Let's do that one. Yeah, that's
Nick.
Nick, are you an expert on steampunk yet?
Oh, I wouldn't call myself an expert. It was a funny thing because when we first started putting Riese together and we're looking at the aesthetic that we wanted to go for, we kind of had all these things that we were putting together, and then somebody sent us like a Wikipedia link on steampunk. We're like, this is what we're doing. This is what we want to do. So it really influenced the way we, you know, created our world. We didn't want to do something entirely steampunk because, I mean, what's the fun in just recreating something? We wanted to do something completely new. But steampunk is kind of like the subgenre of sci-fi right now. I think it was been really popular for years in novels and anime and comic books, but it's just starting to emerge on screen. And so, yeah, it's. What is it? Yeah.
Imagine the future?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like this kind of what if thing. It's I always compare it to the future as envisioned by the Victorian or Edwardian era. So, you know, technologies that they had during that time, the kinds of things they imagined for the future. Okay. So that's where you get, like, you know, the cogs and the steam and just weird, innovative things.
I think that covered it.
Does that cover it? That's steampunk.
Well, you know, like a lot of the characters have like things like, you know, goggles on their heads, and one has a goggle over his eye. Like, are we going to see like maybe how those are used, or is that just kind of like a fashion statement? Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely be seeing more of it the more Riese we get to tell. Doing a web series, we were limited in resources, so we didn't want to go too far with the steampunk because it, you know, risk it looking hokey if we tried to do, say, an airship, for example. So we really wanted to take careful attention to just the production design and the costumes. But yeah, once we have a TV budget, knock on wood, we'll be able to really embrace more of that aesthetic and the actual functionality of those pieces.
Okay, great. Allison, you actually play a member of the sect, apparently, and a very ambitious villain named Marlise. Can you talk a bit about Marlise?
Yeah. Marlise is very enigmatic right now. I've only been on the show for one episode or 2 episodes? 3 episodes, but I'm sparsely sort of spread out over the 3. So there's a lot to fill out with Marliese. But Marliese is the type of woman who knows what she wants, and it's all about the ends justify the means. So she is not afraid to scratch and climb wherever she needs to go in order to get what she wants. And she is solo in her approach, so she doesn't really have allegiances with anyone. And that gives me as an actress a lot of freedom to make a lot of choices. It's really fun, too, because she is so enigmatic and because she does have so few loyalties. I always have a secret. And that is one of the most fun things to play. I always think that the darker ones, the flawed ones, are way more satisfying and gratifying as an artist than the kind of more perfect golden children. So
do you think you might be playing like both sides kind of thing, or just all out for yourself? Of course, probably you don't want to reveal too much, but
you'll have to watch the show on sci-fi.com.
Excellent. So you, Christine, you're going to be working with Sharon Taylor, is also another actress on the show, and I read on the bio that she has like 10 years of martial arts experience, kickboxing, black belts. Do you have any crazy fight scenes with her at all, or?
Actually, when I started the show, I had no training, no stunt training, no martial arts training, no stunt training, nothing, and found out that I would not have a double and be doing it all myself. And so I've learned a lot very quickly, but Sharon has been my teacher. So I've been studying kickboxing with her the last year, and yeah, she's a black belt. Yeah. She's amazing. She's very good.
Excellent. Within the co-stars of the show is a wolf played by Tundra, I think it is. He's called Fenrir. Does anybody want to talk about what it's like to work with an animal on the set, or how good of a dog Tundra is?
With a lot of time, he gets the job done. He's a sweetheart. He weighs, I think, 170 pounds, so he outweighs Christine by a lot. He's challenging, but if you're patient, you get what you need from him. And luckily, we all feel pretty safe around him. He is a wild animal, and we have to remember that. He only escaped once. We were near a farm, and he ran off because there were animals to eat. He didn't eat any, but it was a little, that's not good, is it? But yeah, I think that he brings so much to the world, so much authenticity, because the whole world of Elysia, the kingdom, was based on this affinity with wolves, and now they're on the run for their lives just as Riese is. So I think he's a really important character, and he's essentially a sentient being. He's got more going on in his brain than your average dog. So I think that it's less of a buddy film between the two of them than they're really watching each other's backs. So I hope we get to integrate him more into the storylines. So he's just a puppy. He's not even 2 years old yet, so I can't wait for Tundra to grow up a little bit.
It's really funny because you said the word sweetheart, and we get these close-ups of him like frothing at the mouth with anger.
Yeah, I should give away the secret that the blood is strawberry jam.
Oh, okay.
And he doesn't like it, so he doesn't lick at it. So.
That's great. Another inspiration you might have had is in the creation of the villain Herrick. Dark mask, kind of scary voice. Pure evil. Are we going to ever see like maybe where he came from, maybe why he ends up wearing the mask at all, or?
I think Ben Cotton would really like us to do that. We tease him all the time. Ben, he would like to have his face shown. So I hope that we get to go into that, because I think that he's a very essential part of how the sect is so misguided, because their whole religion is based on purifying themselves of their humanity, and he's the furthest along in that. And I think that quickly the world becomes quite aware that the less human you are, you're more of a monster than ever before. So I think that he's so far gone that he's going to be very interesting to explore.
Yeah, you've really brought together an impressive cast of sci-fi, familiar sci-fi faces. We got Sanctuary, SGU, Eureka, Smallville. So how did you guys end up like drawing this cast together for a web series?
I'll take that one. Okay. I guess. Based in Vancouver, there's a really heavy sci-fi pool of actors because, as I'm sure you know, sci-fi shoots most of their shows up there. So to have a project like this where we really invited talent to come in and be part of the creative process and not just give them a flat role that they had to just play. Really encourage a lot of people to sign on. And then, just we've been in the industry for a number of years, Kalina and Nick more so than myself. And we just had forged relationships that were easy to draw on when we had a fun project for them.
That's great. So you've filmed 10 episodes so far, like 2 chapters, and of course, I mean, I went looking all over the place. Only was able to see chapter 1. So how is this going to be? I heard you said there's going to be some new content for this series. How is this going to be released?
We worked with sci-fi.com on re-editing them, so we were able to pull from Nick's episodes, which were the second 5, where we introduced 4 brand new characters. We were able to pull some of his scenes and put them into the first 5 episodes so that we could introduce them a lot more quickly and tell the story a little bit more quickly. So it also gives viewers that have seen the first 5 a reason to come back and watch it again. There's a couple surprises coming for them that I'm very excited that will be announced soon, I hope. And I think that the story, it establishes this whole world that we want them to fall deep down this hole with us and just explore with us.
I mean, it's an excellent mythology you're setting up, and I can see, like, there have been rumors that maybe this might develop into a series if sci-fi, Finally, I guess we can just kind of wrap it up. Basically, want to say that Riese The Series will be available next month, I believe, right? This month? This fall. Okay.